Okay. Good evening, everybody, and I'm Noreen McClendon, and I'm your facilitator and your host, and this is Free to Heal, where we are formerly incarcerated and loved ones, and we come together every week to heal the wounds that were inflicted upon us through mass incarceration, whether that was us, personally, or whether we're a loved one of someone who's incarcerated. We all bear the scars, and so we come together every week to heal those things and also just support each other and support people in the reentry process. And so tonight, we're going to talk about the difference between emotion and emotional. And I'm glad we have some men on tonight because there's some questions in here that I'd like to get answers from them about. But as is my way, I like to start with defining what we're talking about. So let's talk about the definition of emotion. Emotion is a strong feeling, the affective aspect of consciousness, a state of feeling, a conscious mental reaction as anger or fear, subjectively experienced as strong feeling, usually directed toward a specific object, and typically accompanied by physiological and behavioral changes in the body. So one of the things that I highlighted here in the definition is it's a mental reaction subjectively experienced. So it's subject to who you are, what you've been through, what your experiences are, what your background is. That emotion, it may come up. So think of the common term now is your triggers, right? A trigger may something may trigger your emotion. Something may cause you to feel a feeling. And so, though that's what it's talking about. Now, emotional, likely to show or express emotion, easily upset, excited, dominated by or prone to emotion. So if you're emotional, they're saying you're prone to these feelings that are subjectively experienced as strong feeling. So if you're emotional, you're being subjected to, you're subject to feel emotional. Okay, you're subject to feel an emotion based on a circumstance. Now, the opposite of that is cold, cool, detached, dispassionate, deadpan, inhibited, reserved, restrained, undemonstrative. Okay, now, this is why I'm glad that we have a couple men on here tonight, because they say women are typically referred to as emotional. This is a trait that most men don't like to deal with in women. In my experience, oh, you're too emotional. They want to, cut it off. Why are you being all emotional? This, and that. But then there's a question down here a little bit further. It says, men experience emotion as frequently as women, but are not generally referred to in that manner. So let's think about in politics. A man can get on the floor of the Senate and raise and scream and shout and rant and whatever, and they just call him passionate. If a woman gets on the Senate floor and does all that, she's emotional, she's hysterical, all of those kinds of things. So there's definitely a difference in the way that it's viewed. And I know that part of that starts from the socialization that boys don't cry. So men were socialized not to show emotion, which was really crazy because they feel it. They're human. But it's viewed very differently. I think about the WNBA and the NBA, right? The difference. The NBA players can do whatever they're going to do and whatever, but the minute that the WNBA players do it, they're being mean and this, and that, and they're being catty when it comes to that girl, Caitlin Clark. And if they're expressing like Angel Reese when she won the college championship and she threw up her finger, yeah, look at the ring, that kind of thing. It's okay for men to do that, but not for women to do that. Now, or there's just I would say it's okay for us to do that. It's just that it's a different standard and it's viewed totally different. But this is a question. Is it the way women express emotion that give them a bad rap, or what they are emotional about?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Carlos. Carlos comes on and he doesn't know how to mute. Anyway. So the question is, the difference between is it maybe that it's just the way that women express emotion that's different than the way men express it, that gives it a bad rap, or is it what we're emotional about? So I'm gonna throw that out there to the men that are on here. Do you think it is like the part, and let's go back and ask this question first. Do you have a challenge, or is it challenging for you when women are emotional? Okay. Talk to me. I got three.
Okay. Are you asking us men this question?
I'm asking men, the men, only men right now.
Is it a challenge?
Yeah. What, or are you challenged, or do you have a problem when women are quote unquote emotional?
I'm gonna say, for me, speaking for myself, I don't have a problem with it, but there is many challenges, and it just all depends on who the woman is and what the situation is, how I view things. But it's gonna always be a challenge because I'm not a woman, and I have to receive the information to actually process it and then look at it from the lens of, you know, I'm gonna say rationality. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and it's not that women are not validated when they in their emotions or when they have an issue. It's just, as men and women, our comprehension and the way we take things is a lot different. Even though it may seem like women are playing a part of men and vice versa now, it might seem like that, but as a man, it's gonna always be a challenge for me. But I don't have a problem with it because it's a learning lesson and it's a learning tool straight from a woman that I can't get from a man, and that can't no man tell me about a woman. So it's a plus for me, but it's definitely a challenge because I have to understand where they're coming from. But it's not a problem because I like to learn about women from women, because you can't learn about women from a man. You got to learn from a woman.
And that was why I guess the first question on here that I had was, do you think it may be the way that women express emotion that causes men a challenge, or do you think it's what they're emotional about? So, for example, the difference between being emotional and going to break out somebody's windows and setting their car on fire and all that stuff might be one thing, right? But then maybe it's the way that what they're emotional about. So, for example, if you leave people alone and let them go ahead and sleep, maybe they don't come and set your car on fire, right? Or maybe if you because I think of it this way. This one thing I know for sure that I have no speculation about. Men have a tendency to they don't like it when they are confronted with the pain that they actually caused the woman. So, like, men don't like to see women cry. Mm-hmm. That is one thing that really disturbs them. And I know that every man I know is like that. Like to be the cause of the cry. Right. And that's what I know too, right? So maybe that is what it is in terms of what they're crying about, and the way that maybe that they express it. It could be that, but definitely, I know that men don't like to see the pain that resulted from their behavior. They don't like that when it comes to a woman. So, and when it comes to men, so when it comes to a woman, I think, Terrell, you're right that it depends on who that woman is and what the relationship is and what part you may have had to play and whether she's emotional just because of a circumstance that didn't really have anything to do with you. Maybe there's a different reception to her being emotional in it when you didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah,
maybe that's a thing.
there's a lot of factors that go in there when you say, how do men receive women that's emotional or in emotional state? Because like I said, like you just pointed out, who is the woman? Is it a relative, a family member, a spouse, or an ex, or homegirl? You know what I mean? So things will be perceived differently. You know what I mean? Because if it's your mama, as a man, if it's my mama, my family, I'm gonna get a little heightened. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna be like really trying to get it so I can process it, so I can make the right choices and decisions that I feel I need to make about the situation. So, like I said,
Because
it depends.
it's definitely different to relative if your mama crying versus a home girl, or you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? That's
I would just say that it depends on the relationship or the man to whoever that woman is.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And certain situations that may seem dire or serious as opposed to something that's temporary and small to us. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? But not to
right.
them. So the urgency, the emergency, the seriousness of it, the crisis of it, that's kind of what a man looks at. Is this something that's harmful or detrimental, or I mean, on a physical level, and it's got to be taken care of immediately, or is this some internal emotion that's, you know what I'm saying, that has to be, kind of cope with and, oozed out a little bit, you know what I mean? And it can take you could take your time with it, you know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. Um, and then do men want to be considered the opposite of emotional as defined up above? And I don't think they do. I don't think you want to be defined as cold, cool, detached, dispassionate, deadpan, inhibited, reserved, restrained, and undemonstrative. And I don't think that men are. I think it's just the way that it is processed and the way that it is expressed. But I don't believe that it is fair to say that men are emotionless, that they're, that they're not, that they're cold and detached. I can say this, as most of you know from me talking about my book and my relationship with my dad was kind of emotionally unavailable. My dad was very affectionate with me, very, always praise and that kind of thing. But my dad had a very stoic kind of way that he functioned. But I know my dad loved me. And the crazy part is I tended to gravitate to men who were emotionally unavailable, like they would feel something, but they didn't know how to express it. They couldn't express it the way that I needed it to be expressed. And I know where it came from. I know it came from my dad, and the relationship that I had with him, and the fact that as a kid, somehow I decided that if I didn't do all of the work in the relationship, that we wouldn't have one. And to the day my dad died, I made sure that he and I had a relationship. My brothers did not have a relationship with him, but I was adamant that I was going to have a relationship with my dad, all the way up until he died, because I'm a daddy's girl and I wanted that relationship and I was willing to do the work to have it. And that's fine for my dad, but thinking about every man that I was in a relationship with, I'm gonna do all the work. They certainly would let me, but that made me a place to come and get something and not have to give nothing. And that did that, and ultimately it would fail anyway, because I do have, at some point, I do love myself. Like I wrote in the book, I didn't have traditional low self-esteem where I didn't think I was good enough, or I didn't think I was pretty enough, or none of that. I had a weird version of it. I had my own crazy brand of low self-esteem, but it was more like, no, you got to do the work or it's not going to be done. So, but I don't believe that, you would be hard pressed to make me believe that men are void of emotion. And part of the reason, there's a whole term, if you think about it, a crime of passion. There's a lot of men in prison behind a crime of passion. So that means passion is an emotion, right? All day long and twice on Sunday. So I am not a believer that men don't feel emotion or express it. The question becomes, how are they socialized to express it? So the two things that were always available to men are anger and flight, fight and flight. Those two things are always there. And anger and aggression are always viewed in a man as okay until it goes too far. It's okay until it's not. Right. Socially acceptable for them to be angry and aggressive and all of those things, where it's not socially acceptable for women. It is socially acceptable for women to cry in public, but not men. It's not, no, you can't, no, man.
Was told me don't cry.
Oh, they did, but that's because you grew up in a house full of men.
Yeah.
Right. So they told you, they raising you to be them, which you're never gonna be.
Right.
Right. So they're telling you,
Different.
you different. Yeah, you different. Different is a good word to use, Miss Tony. We okay with calling you different. Yes, ma'am, you are different.
But I think it's
She's different. She's
She
different.
different.
She
She different.
Seriously, she different.
She different.
I think that it is a direct result of that, prime example for me in this discussion is at my brother's funeral. My uncles were arguing over who made who cry first. Serious, knockdown, drag out argument.
Wow.
And I said, and I was 14, and I said, all you fools cried.
And what difference who made who cry first, right? As
Oh,
if that was a thing, right?
They were heated.
Okay.
Yeah.
You trying to make him look like he was talking.
Yeah, they were heated. Yeah, it was a whole big old argument. Yeah, I was like, y'all are stupid.
And
Y'all
then the
know-
question becomes, at this stage of the game, sweetie, fellas, can y'all just tell me what difference it makes?
Well, I mean, they were in their 20s.
No, but I'm just saying, right? Like,
Yeah.
I would love to tap somebody.
But that is them being that, but that is the socially accepted and socially unacceptable. And them, you didn't hear me earlier. I said they lack the experience to understand that, because society is that boys don't cry. You said that earlier.
Right.
Boys don't cry. And so, what do boys do? And I was always trying to figure things out because my uncles said, oh, don't cry, please don't cry. Don't cry, don't cry. Okay, it's
And
okay.
see, now
it's okay,
keep this
don't
in
cry,
mind,
don't
but
cry.
keep this in mind. That's because they can't stand to see you cry.
Right.
Okay, men,
Right.
which I said earlier, men do not like to see women cry. And especially depending on who that woman is.
Yes,
In your particular case, you were their protected niece,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
You were the niece, you were
Yes.
the oldest grandchild, you were
Was
to
the
be
oldest.
protected.
Yeah, I was to be protected.
Yes,
Yeah.
and so they didn't want you to cry.
No, not at all.
They did not want you to cry, and so, yeah, I can see that. But the cold part is the fact that to me, was funny is just the mere fact that there was a discussion at all, not to mention the fact that it had the nerve to be heated
Mhm.
as to which one of them made the other one cry first.
Man, no, you started.
Okay,
You
see.
you started. Like when they opened the casket, you lost it.
Okay.
And I was over here trying.
And I was okay. And
No, man, when they gave you them white gloves, you was
Okay.
all the fools cried.
Okay, and from your standpoint, it didn't matter, but to them, it was really a thing.
Yeah.
How crazy is that society, now mind you, they are burying their nephew
Yeah.
who was 5 years old,
Yeah.
and that they had it in them that somehow it was unacceptable for them to cry. Like, to me, socialization is really bad in that way, because you feel what you feel, but you're being told
Different.
that you shouldn't feel what you feel. And that's not real.
Definitely.
That is not true, huh, Ms. Dye?
Not-
That is not true. So, is it that men don't like the emotions expressed when they are the result of behavior of the man? I know that's to be true. I know that's true. Men do not like to see you cry if they know that they are the cause of it. And it is, I understand it, but what I say is, well, then don't be fucking with me then. And then you don't have to see me cry, right?
Mhm.
Don't do the things that you know that's gonna make me cry. That's what I say. I say, Yeah, right. Because see, and that's something too, Tony just said about what was intended. Oftentimes, a man will do what he's going to do, but he doesn't look at the unintended consequences. Sometimes he didn't know that that was a thing.
Or didn't know he was gonna get caught.
Hi. And and who is that?
Coco from Chicago.
Coco. Miss Coco, you getting married, huh?
Yes.
You's gonna be
I'm
married.
gonna be a married woman.
But you know what, Miss Coco, I hope you don't mind me sharing this because I think this is the cutest, funniest thing in the entire world.
Go
Her
ahead.
husband Googled her, y'all.
Oh, you should.
He sure did.
He Googled her. And I said, okay, y'all know about a mail-in bride or whatever. Miss Coco is the very first and only Google bride, y'all.
Oh my God, I was
She
so
is a
shocked.
Google bride. She's a Google bride, y'all.
Yeah.
I
Monica,
am
he had the nerve to say, y'all, when we was having dinner, and I was like, just being open. I'm so open and transparent with life now. We don't
Yeah.
already do so much. What is it to hide?
Right.
If the public put all my shit out there, I mean, I'm gonna tell you before the public do. Ain't nobody gonna tell it like me.
Right.
So you the real deal, Holyfield. And I was like, yeah, I've been to prison. Yes, I sure did. I've been to prison. Did 13 and a half years in federal prison on a 22-year sentence. He said, what you do, kill somebody? I said, no. I said, no. I said, but I used to tell people that in prison, just to keep people up off of me. And they used to ask me, so who you kill? I said, a Chihuahua. So why
And
would you ask me? If
what is
you
it? What is it?
the smallest dog there
The
is.
little dog.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. You remember I used to say that? And they used to be like, girl, you killed a damn dog. Why would
That
you ask
is
But
me
you
who I
probably
killed
did
if I
22
told you I killed
years prison
somebody?
ago.
That
Huh?
is funny. Girl, that is funny.
very funny. I am just so glad. And I just want to also, while I have an opportunity publicly, to commend you on your film.
Thank you.
I went to a film
Yeah.
festival and Miss Coco did a film. And tell them a little bit about your film, sweetie.
So the film, the short documentary that I did, it's called How Did I Get Here?
Uh-huh.
Documentary is based around conspiracy. People don't talk about the conspiracy, especially federal, right? Because most of the time when we as federal at the federal time, you are already
Maureen, can you mute okay.
I just muted him. I'm sorry.
You are already being charged on one count, which is the conspiracy, because they said you to conspire with somebody on this charge, and then the second one is the charge. So my film is based around that and how people don't know and understand how easy it is to get locked up on a conspiracy charge. They don't know. So I was trying to let them know how easy it is just by riding in a car with someone and you don't know where they're going, and they going to do a drug deal or a murder or premeditated murder. You done implicated yourself in this here conspiracy with them. Because
And I want to correct you and say that you didn't try, sweetheart. You did that.
I did.
Absolutely made it known that conspiracy is how easy it is to become involved in a conspiracy. Because the other thing that I got too from the film, Miss Coco, was you don't even have to know them other people.
No, you don't. 9 times out of 10, you don't know them for real. They are in the conspiracy charge.
Yes.
Everybody else. And I was always told, even when I was getting ready to go to trial, the closest get the most. And I'm like, what does that mean? Meaning if you tell first, you're gonna get less time. No one knows that, you don't
Right.
know. And the most important thing that society in our community don't know is the jury never know about the conspiracy count one. Because I think if the jury know that you're being charged on count one conspiracy and the mandatory of 10 years, they may not even find you guilty on that charge. They don't.
Wow.
The government nor your attorney don't even explain it while you're going through trial. You know, and
So they go in and when they go into the jury room, they only know they get to count then.
yeah, they only know about the first and second, but they don't know the extent of the conspiracy, how much time a person can get just being in the conspiracy.
Oh,
No,
We get a life sentence with that. They don't know. They're not gonna talk to the jury about
they
that.
don't know that until
They just know that you're being charged with count one, conspiracy, count two, to distribute 150 kilos of drugs, count three, adding in the bed. They don't know nothing about the conspiracy and how much all of these counts can carry.
right. And the fact that one count can carry 10 years just by itself.
Yes.
And so likelihood that and then you know what, probably if they did, Ms. Coco, they would probably require more proof that you actually participated in a conspiracy, but they don't say that because they don't know.
You don't know.
You know, like I was dealing with a guy in my class in Folsom on Saturday. His son is the professional football player CJ Stroud, who's in his second year as a quarterback for the Houston Texans. And I went and looked up what it was. He was on drugs and he got in the car high, jumped in this woman's car and forced her to drive him to go buy drugs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, of course, he was tussling with her. You know, I'm sure she tussling, he tussling. And somehow they added a sexual battery charge on there, which the kidnapping they added on there. Kidnapping and a sexual battery, like he might have tore her shirt or whatever. Because I know a guy who had to register as a sex offender because him and his girl got into an argument. She went to walk away and he pulled her and her shirt got ripped and they charged him with a sexual crime and he had to register for the rest of his life as a sex offender. But this man was on drugs and now they have all these, they'll take that into consideration, but they gave him 58 years. They struck him out, but he has an appeal coming up because the second strike was nonviolent. The second thing he was convicted of, but you know, when people are on drugs, you don't know. I mean, to me, all bets are off. But literally with him, 58 years, and I say he definitely needed to face the consequences of his crime. He needed punishment for the crime because the lady that he jumped in that car, I'm sure that she is traumatized for the rest of her life. Like there's some things she'll probably never get over from that experience. But 58 years, he needed rehab. There was no right. He needed rehab, but what he got was 58 years of incarceration. And in no way, shape, or form is that going to help him. That he's not going to get rehab. He's not going to be rehabilitated. And if he is, I mean, like he's taking my course in there to try to rehabilitate himself and find out where things went wrong or whatever. But my point being is that the time is excessive for the crime. And that's what that conspiracy does. The conspiracy, tagging that on, adds 10 years for the same set of circumstances. Yes. Right. And if it's consecutive, that means you just keep on serving. And a lot of times judges will do that to stretch you. And what I found is that if they think that you're not going to come back, they give you the harshest sentence they can, hoping that you'll catch another case while you're in there. And those are reasons, coming back to this particular topic, those are reasons to be emotional, right? Those are reasons, but guess what? The other side of it is they expect people not, like I saw something, it was a verdict was being read and the lady got convicted and she goes, oh my God, and she starts to cry. The judge says, Miss So-and-so, can you please control your emotions?
That's
you just
mother-in-law.
Was it?
Yeah, the mother-in-law who she killed her son-in-law because of the custody battle.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
She just got a verdict.
Yeah, yesterday, huh? Right.
No, it's been a couple of days.
But the cold part to me about that is you just told her that she was convicted of first degree murder. She knows she going to prison for a very, very long time with her old self. And right, and she had a conspiracy charge. And you want her to control her emotions like she can't even, oh my God, and cry.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
So we're gonna act like this is not human, like we're not human, which in my estimation is one of the challenges with the criminal justice system is the dehumanization. And if you think about them, I mean, if you think about what the criminal justice system does, it is always taking away your humanity.
And to add to that, reading the comments from a post there, yeah, control your emotions, because you didn't have no emotions when you was having him killed. So we further socially accepted that it's okay to dehumanize.
Right, because the cold part about it is even that concept that you didn't feel no emotion when you did that is not really true. Actually, she probably felt a whole lot of fucking emotion, which is probably what caused her to do what she did in the first place.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not true that men or women do or don't feel emotion. Everybody does.
Right.
It is a natural way. It is one of the things that the body does to let you know something is off. Something is unusual. That is the body's way. It's like if you're sick or whatever, the body will use pain as a way to alert you. Hey, wait a minute, check this out. Well, emotions are a way to let you know something emotionally, something that may not be physical is going on and something to pay attention to. Now, what I say about emotion, and I encourage us to do this all the time, an emotion is by definition a strong feeling, but it is a feeling. And a feeling is just that. It's a feeling. That does not mean that it is reality just because you feel it. I'm gonna say that again. Just because you feel it does not mean it is valid or real. What do I mean? I may have a feeling that my dude is cheating on me. And he ain't doing nothing. But because I got insecurities from the last man or the last 5 minutes cheated on me, I see everything. Everything looked like a cheater to me, right? He went to work and they asked him to work 15 minutes overtime and he 20 minutes late getting home, and now I'm accusing him of cheating because I got a feeling. Well, what I need to do, what I'm responsible to do at that point is for me to check, why do you feel this way? What is it? I need to check whether whether there's something actually going on or whether or not it is just a feeling that I have based on my prior experiences, quote unquote, my baggage. Because we cannot continue to bleed on the people that never cut us. Right? But that's what we do. We want to hold everybody accountable for the fact that we're not healed from previous things or previous experiences. You're not, if somebody did something to you that was traumatic, which we've all experienced that wasn't your fault, but you are responsible for your healing. You're responsible to heal. That is your job. And so when these things come up, we're obligated to question why am I feeling what I feel? In my book, my second book, 5 Steps to Personal Peace, Living Authentically You, I talk about the fact that you need to ask yourselves, this book here, ask yourself a series of why questions. When you have a feeling, ask yourself, why do I feel that? And like little kids, you ever like little kids in the car and they say, why is this, mommy? And then you tell them, they go, why? And then you answer and they go, why? And eventually you might get to, because I said so, right? Because it's just so annoying. But that is how they learn. They're going to keep asking until they get to the root and until they get to that satisfaction. Well, when I have a feeling, I'm responsible to ask myself over and over again, why do I feel this way? Well, why does that upset me? I'm upset because he said he was going to call and didn't call. Well, why does that upset you? Well, was that because that happened before? And ultimately, I discovered for me that when a person tells me that they're going to call and they don't call, it gives me the impression that I'm not important enough for them to live up to their word. That again still don't have to be true, but that's how I feel. But that's how I feel. And as a result of that, I will tell somebody in a heartbeat, don't do that to me. I'm gonna tell you from here, I'm gonna have a bad reaction. I don't like it. I would rather you just say, okay, we'll talk soon. Or okay, I'm getting ready to go. I'll holler at you another time. Anything other than okay, I'm gonna call you tomorrow. And then don't call me. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's nice. Love you later. Right. So whatever it is, but I am responsible to know that, and I'm responsible to convey that to another person so that they understand what I need. Because we all got baggage from one thing or another, right? We all do. So the question is how we make sure that we're not, again, bleeding on somebody that never cut me in the first place. And if I at least understand myself enough to know that I get triggered like that, then I'm obligated to say to somebody, this is a trigger. This is a trigger. This is something that I'm subject to. You do this and I'm subject to knock your block off, or I'm subject to walk away from, whatever that is, so that you can have those conversations. But you got to know you, and you got to be willing to tell the truth about who you are and about what your flaws are, because that's a little flaw, right? If you gotta know what their feelings are too. You got to know what the feelings are. Hi, Harry.
Hi,
How
long
you doing?
time. I'm doing okay. I'm glad you even touched on this subject. I've been just sitting there in the back listening. I'm outside. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess the reason why I haven't really been to some of the groups is because I've been with my girl, right? And it's been a roller coaster.
Has it?
It's up and down, up and down. But you validated one thing about the feelings, right? Uh, sometimes I'm wondering, we're cool for a little while, and then all of a sudden it's like we're headed that down to a spot where I'm not even comfortable with her for a while, right? It's like we have to sit for a few days, until eventually she'll call me, right? Well, how come you don't answer the phone? I just don't feel like answering the phone. I don't want to talk to you. You kind of, like you said, sometimes those cuts, right? You cut me, and I'm not used to bleeding like that. And I've been gone too long, and I'm not used to these like you said, what do you call superficial wounds, right? And some of them are superficial. Like I said, I do work with feelings, and I'm not used to it. My emotional switch been shut off for so goddamn long that now it's turned back on. So now I feel everything. But I don't jump to conclusions. I don't let my imagination run wild with me or nothing. It's either you trust me or I trust you or I don't trust you. Bottom line.
Right.
We'll just cut it right here at the quick. You walk away, I'll walk away, and that's it. No harm, no foul. I'm gone. I'm out. That part. But it seems like every time we hit the crossroad, I back off for a little while. No, I don't I'm good for a week. Sometimes I'll go 2 weeks. Right? And it's that I don't call. No. I just don't feel like having a conversation with him.
So let me
at the
ask you
time.
this, because our discussion, we started our discussion tonight talking about the difference between emotion and emotional, right? And being emotional, whether or not
Right.
and how men express their emotion and how they feel about a woman expressing her emotions. So when you say things are good and then it's not, what is it usually? Is there one particular thing that it's about, or is it the way she expresses it? What is it that sets you off?
I think Noreen, it comes down to like her needs are being met, but mine's aren't.
Ah,
Right.
okay.
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 Yeah.
And
It's
I will
like,
say this.
like I got partners. I got friends of mine telling me this. Look at her pattern. Look at her pattern, Harry. Look at her pattern, right? And then when she's already got satisfied and when she got what she needs, all of a sudden, like, okay, I'll call you, right?
Mhm.
Oh, we'll hang out for a little while, and then after that, and then she'll get happy or whatever again, and we're back to square one again, and I'm gone. I'll pull a Houdini on her. I'm out, right? And sure enough, it's like a cycle. It's like a pattern. I told her already. Come on, now you're not gonna play this game with me. I ain't playing this game with you. Don't go there. Because now you really
I gotta raise my hand and say this though, Harry.
But you all
Harry, you already played
Yes.
it, baby. Let me just say this.
I
If
know.
you guys have been through that cycle more than once or twice, which it sounds like you have, baby, you are playing it.
Yes.
And so I want to encourage you to pay attention to the fact that you are participating. And I also want you to pay attention. I can almost guarantee you that it gets more intense each time, that it escalates. And if it hasn't started to escalate, it will. And the reason is that the red flags are there. The red flags are there. And every time you go back, you are opening up the wounds, you're opening up the scars, you're putting yourself in harm's way. And particularly when the issue is your needs not being met, because that's a problem. What do we talk about here, Free to Heal, and in terms of Hurt People Highway? One of the definitions is we talk about healthy relationships. We're not interested in toxic relationships. We're not interested in finding out who's toxic and why. What we're interested in is what is healthy. And the definition of healthy, part of that is about balance. And if her needs are being met and yours are not, there's no balance right there. And I would offer to you, I want you to, if somebody else is telling you, look at the pattern, then I want you to understand there is a pattern. It's already there, and you are, like it or not, participating in it. Right now, you may think that you got the upper hand and you got control of it, but you don't.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No,
You don't.
I don't.
Because you go back.
Yes.
And so I just want to, Harry, and I say all this to you in love because I kind of dig you a little bit, right? So I got to be honest with you. There's no way I can sit here and let you say that you don't want to participate, because you are participating, baby. You are.
No.
And it's just time for you to decide what it's really going to be or what you require. Because let me ask this, have you been able to articulate what you need and what needs are not being met?
I've already expressed all that to her,
Okay.
right? And it goes through one ear and out the other.
So what that says to me is that either she can't meet your needs or she doesn't want to. And in either case, for you, it doesn't matter. The issue
Doesn't
is
matter.
they're not being met.
Tell her he
Nope.
got his own needs first.
Okay, you come tell him, because I want to make sure you can hear what Ms. Dye is saying. Just say, I just want to make sure he can hear you.
You're not meeting your own needs first. You want somebody else to meet your needs. You got to meet your own needs first.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, so
Yep.
that's where we are with that. And then let me ask you this. How do you express your emotion? Because again, we're talking about emotions, right? And how do you express that? How does she know when she's out of pocket?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes she smokes a lot of weed, so I don't know if she knows if she's in the pocket or out of the pocket. Because she smokes a lot, right?
Listen, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. No, but my question is, how does she know she's violating you? That's what I'm trying to find out. How does she know? Like, in other words, what's going on when that happens? Because that is the thing. Sometimes, and if it's just a matter of I said, well, you don't answer the phone. Well, that don't mean anything. That's not information. That is a reaction, but that is not expressing information, which would concern me.
Nope.
So you got to be able to express to her and tell her what it is and what she's doing wrong and all of those things.
But Noreen, she's like she won't even let me get that far, right? Because she'll try to turn it into like we're having an argument, right? I go, no, I'm trying to hear me out now, right? Because I'm Mr. Silent Guy. She's always wants to talk, and I do all the listening, right? But sometimes when I want to talk, she says, "You talk to him." I go, "I haven't said anything."
Oh no,
You
oh
gotta
no, she
give
gotta
me a
go,
chance to
Harry.
say.
Sorry, boo. No, Harry, she ain't the one. If you trying to express how you feel, she tell you talk too much. That's a problem. And you ain't said that yet. Oh yeah, okay. Okay, she's out of here, Harry. She done had all the strikes she gonna get, boo. Because I'm gonna tell you from here. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, Harry. Enough is enough is enough. Because I know it's been several cycles. Right, because you said it.
Hey, Harry, this is Terrell.
Yes.
Listen to me. And from what you're saying and what I know from a man in reentry, get rid of her. Leave her, run fast. Run fast because guess what? She already got you in a toxic cycle in a bullshit pattern and wants you to receive her bullshit. She's trying to bring you a dirty plate and have you eat off of it. You're not going to do it.
Yeah.
You know, but you step back
No.
2 or 3 weeks to see if she's going to change. She's not going to change. That's her. She's already telling you these red lights, these red flags, they're not going to turn yellow or green or blue. Get rid of her ass as
Nope.
fast as you can, and then you can start healing because she's actually damaging you, brother. You fresh out
Yeah, I
of
know.
jail, and you're vulnerable, and you're expressing yourself to this woman, and she's
Well,
shooting you down like you just a piece of shit,
yeah.
like you a little boy or something, playing with your feelings, and that's not cool.
Yeah. No, it's not. You know, like I said, I've been out now. I've been out now almost over 2.5 years. You know, so like I said, actually never been into a relationship with anybody since I've been out until now. But like I said, this right now, like I said, cut and run. I'm about ready to go ahead and cut and run on this one. I'm ready. I'm ready just to say I'm done. I'm out.
And and the thing about it is this: it's no shame. You're not a
Nope.
coward, uh,
Nope.
and all that. Oh, you need to figure it out. You need no, the fuck I don't. I see already this is toxic for me, and it's definitely toxic for you. But I don't need to stay here. You could, like I tell women, I'm not him. I am not him. I'm out.
Yeah.
Out. Feelings, I don't hate you, no disrespect, but I came in peace and I'm gonna leave in peace. So allow me to leave in peace. So whatever you got going on, whatever you feel, hey, I'm sorry, apologize. Guess what? I gotta move forward because right now she got you in a toxic web that can go worse and can go left at any time. Period. And from what you're talking and how I see your body language right now, you're really not feeling this. You're really emotional about this because it's hurting you. You know what I'm saying? So, and guess what? How does a man do all this time get hurt by little bitty words? Because you and your emotions, you know, she got you in your feelings, and that's somewhere you don't need to be because that can make you snap. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
you got too much discipline for that. You got too much discipline for that. So you know what? As a collective and people that got your best interest, we know these patterns of negative and toxic behavior. I'm saying leave. Get the hell away from that lady because she don't mean you no good. And it's all about her. It's all about selfishness. It's all about her. She don't care if your needs are met or you get the question none of that shit. So guess what? A person like that, you don't need to be in their presence, and they damn sure don't need to be in your presence.
They don't deserve to be in your presence. That's
Exactly.
the bottom line. And
They
especially
don't deserve to
when
be
you
in your
say
presence, brother.
that her needs are being met, that means she's getting what she wants out of it, but you're not getting what you want. And that kind of thing. And like I said, every time you go back, that emboldens her to go a little bit further with her taking. She's gonna take a little bit more every time she comes. She just take a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Before you know it, you don't have nothing left. And then your emotions kick in. And we talked about it there. I don't know if you were on yet when we talked about this, but the crimes of passion. That's the kind of stuff make you hurt somebody. I'm not trying to catch a number. And
Nope.
we trying to retire the number you had, Harry. We want it discharged.
Yep.
We want that number discharged, never to be used or seen again. So it's at a point where move on. That's the best advice I can give you at this point.
Yeah.
And I am not a person that very flippantly will tell somebody to walk away from their relationship. I don't do that because I don't think it's my place. Because two consenting adults can consent to whatever the hell they want to consent to. So I had a guy in the class at Folsom on Saturday, and he talked about this lady and how toxic she is, and this and that. And I was saying, but then he also he talked about how he knows what buttons to push, and sometimes he'll say something to make her say something. And I said, so ultimately, what you're saying is you like that crazy shit. Don't call her toxic. Don't call her toxic. No, you like her aggressiveness. You like when she flies off the handle. You like all those things because you set her up to do it. And my thing is this: it may not work for me. I'm not gonna want to be in that kind of a relationship. But if you like it and she like giving it to you that way and y'all like doing that, have y'all bullshit. Just don't involve nobody else in it. Right? But acknowledge that you like that mess. You like the excitement of that. You like the going back and forth. Maybe you like the makeup sex. I don't know. But I'm telling him, listen, stop calling her toxic. Because you the one if it's anybody toxic, y'all toxic alike. Right? But don't sit here and act like she's the one toxic and you set her up to do those things. Because you are the one, you just sat here and told us that and it was so funny. He's like, oh, no, I'm not toxic. So everybody else in the group, this is my advanced class. So we've already been through the first, the beginner course of Hurt People Highway, and the whole room, we were laughing. I said, okay, I'm going to the jury. And I said to the rest of the group, I said, you guys toxic or no toxic? They was like, toxic, he's toxic. But we laughed because he wanted to make it her, while he apparently didn't have any responsibility for that. And that's not true. But again, like I say, I'm very reluctant to tell somebody to walk away from a relationship, because two consenting adults can consent to whatever they want. Go ahead, Terrell.
I'm gonna say it like this. That dude that's in prison doing that, very toxic. But I'm gonna tell you this. One reason why he might be doing it is because he is in prison and he doesn't have to deal with the ramifications of what he's doing, because he know how to push her button, he know how to make her get off the phone, he know how to make her get mad, all of that good stuff. But try that on the street and see how that works. It's a whole different ball game. So,
Yeah.
and me as a man, I've dealt with some people that's just selfish. It's all about fucking them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, damn, you ain't thought about, you're a person that even offer a nigga t-shirt, socks, and drawers, but you want to swipe on call. You want me to be in your presence. You want me to take you out. You want me to do shit for you. Ain't no way. After I see the pattern and I see what it is, I'm cool. I love you. We cool. We have great sex, all that. But guess what? I got to go, because this is playing old for me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not getting nothing out of it. Shit. You getting what you want and going about your way. You know what I'm saying? I called her. I told her I was like DoorDash dick.
Dang.
You know, you call me to get
Dang.
sex when you want to, and it's like, that's it? That's all I'm worth? Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
I'm cool. I'm
Because
cool.
let's face it, Terrell, nobody wants to feel like they're just a piece of meat. Nobody. Man
Exactly.
or woman. Nobody wants to
Exactly.
feel that way. Nobody wants to feel like that's the only purpose that I serve in your life.
Yeah, that's some toxic shit.
It's not a good feeling at all.
When people like that.
You know, and so this right here. So listen to this. Do men really want emotionless women in bed? Right? They don't want you to be
Hell
emotional.
no. Hell
Right?
no. He wants some emotion. He wants some emotion in that bed.
Or is it that they just want emotions expressed when they're good emotions? Maybe they only want the good emotions expressed, right? They want the ooh and ah and all that, but they don't want the crying and you hurt my feelings. They don't want that. Maybe they want what they want, but they don't want they don't want to know, like say Tony, the unintended consequences of that bullshit. Right. So now I don't want to hear, oh, you being too emotional and all that. And another one that they use that interchangeably with emotional is irrational. You're not rational. The hell I ain't. Yes, I am. I'm real clear about what's going on here. Right. So, hey, you know what? Where is, oh, I guess he's gone. Oh, Mr. Chester's not on here anymore. I thought it was kind of strange that Mr. Chester hadn't chimed in yet. You know what I'm saying? Because he normally have good things. You know, when he chimes in, he must have had to leave or something. But I wanna invite you, Miss Monica, to have a little check in on us. And Miss Monica, chime in. What you think about the discussion?
Well, I don't know. I had to agree with what you guys were saying in terms of maybe it's time to kind of walk away from that. And I, play back my tape and I think about how I jumped into a relationship prematurely. Like I didn't give myself a chance. When I came home, I was super ambitious. I went to school, I was working, I ended up graduating, but that relationship kind of took me away from some of the things that I could have possibly achieved. They tell you when you're in the NA space that you don't be getting in no relationship, spend some time with yourself and everything. And I actually think the same thing applies when you come home, is that getting in relationships is really, it should be something they should give you a warning label to say when you go home, the last thing you need to do is get in a relationship. It should be the
I
same
love it. I love it. Put a warning
because
label on it.
yeah, because that thing tend to sidetrack you, take you from your goals. I mean, I achieved some things. I'm proud and happy, but I know I could have been so much further along
Because
had
it
I
was a
not.
distraction. It distracted your energy. It
Yeah,
divided your energy and what you were putting your energy into
yeah.
at that time.
Relationships is really when you're re-entering society, coming back to the community. Relationships are the essence of what it is that we need and what we may not need, like your family and your children, building those relationships and stuff. Relationships is just they should teach that stuff all the time while you're incarcerated, and especially when you get ready to exit, in terms of
Yes.
relationships, just everyday relationship with family, with your coworkers, with your colleagues, because that is paramount to your success when you come home. So I always love when we talk about relationships.
And you know what, Monica, because one of the things that you said is so powerful is the fact that everything is about relationships. It's all relationship, whether it's employment, that's a relationship, family, sibling, whatever. But an intimate partner relationship, at Free to Heal, we've talked about it a lot. And I think we all kind of come to the conclusion that jumping into a relationship fresh out of incarceration is not really a good thing. Like, and then like we've even come to the consensus here that even if married people, somebody should go to a halfway house for about 6 months if they've been down for a long time. To give people an opportunity to get to know who they are in this world on this side of the wall. Because whoever the life you lived while you were incarcerated is not the life that you're going to live out here in the street, because all of it doesn't apply. Like I always have them laughing when I tell the guys and the women in prison, you're not going to go on your job talking about you're going to 602 somebody. That ain't a thing, right? They're not going to 115 you. They're going to fire your ass. Okay. So it's just, like there's some things that don't translate. And so you have to be careful of how you're processing. But when you come home, we truly believe and have come to that consensus here that you got to give yourself time to find out who you are, give yourself time to get yourself on your feet and all that. And quite frankly, Harry did all of that, right? And I say, thankfully, Harry is participating in this group, and we can tell Harry, we can love on Harry and say to Harry, hey, it's not you, it's her. And you deserve better than that, right? I don't care what she says, what she offers or whatever. Harry deserves better than that. He deserves someone who's going to meet his needs. He deserves someone that's going to care about him, that's going to pour into him and not just take. Despite the fact that he's been home a couple years, but he did it the right way. He went and established himself and got himself situated before he even began to tackle or the idea. And if I remember correctly, Harry wasn't even really looking for a relationship. It just kind of walked up on him and it just kind of came up. So, that there's that as well. But I know for a fact that men don't want an expressionless woman in the bedroom. So they don't mind emotion just when they want it. And the same could be true for women too. I don't want this to feel like it's a sexist thing or it only goes in one direction, but there certainly are some societal norms that tend to lend themselves to men not wanting women to be overly emotional. So what does this say about taking responsibility for the feeling we generate in other people? We need to take responsibility for how we make people feel that we say we want to be in relationship with. The more responsibility we take, the more likely we are to be considerate and not step on or trample on their feelings. Because when we understand that we're responsible and we're going to have to look at that and we're going to have to face it, it's like I'm not going to, one of the things I love about the Nation of Islam is they have this procedure and this policy that if one person accuses somebody else of something to the leader or to the person that's in charge of that mosque or whatever, the person that's in charge of that mosque tends to bring both of them together to address the issue. So it's not very likely that people are going, I'm not going to lie on Tony because I know Roberta going to make us come together and I'm going to have to say in front of Tony what I said to Roberta. So what it does is it prevents me from telling lies on Tony to Roberta, because I know Roberta's going to say, well, let's get Tony on the phone and let's get Tony. We're going to bring Tony in here so we can talk about it.
Nip it in the bud.
Nip it in the bud. And what it does is, but I love that is a procedure that the Nation uses. I've known people in the Nation for decades, and they do that. If you come and say, so-and-so said this about you or so-and-so offended you in this way, let's get that person together. Let's get that person in the room. Let's get them on the phone. Let's talk about it. Okay. So that way, but I think if people understood that you're going to have to be faced with this. I remember seeing this, something on Instagram the other day where this guy, his side piece had him at her house and blindfolded her at the table, like, I got a surprise for you. This is so exciting. I got a surprise. And she blindfolded him. And when he took off the blind, his woman was standing in her kitchen. And it's like, if you knew that you probably wouldn't have been cheating if you had known that you was going to be confronted, right? You wouldn't have been doing what you was doing. Right. So I think a lot of times if we knew, think about social media.
Sometimes you just didn't expect to get caught.
Right. Well, mostly they didn't expect to get caught. They damn sure didn't expect to get caught. I can guarantee they didn't. Because he was sitting at her dining room table or dining little set thing, honey, just as comfortable as could be, waiting on what the surprise was. And then all of a sudden he went mute, he didn't have nothing to say. But that's because he didn't anticipate having to face to face the result of what he was doing. And I think about social media and the things that people say to other people on social media, because I'm behind a keyboard and I'm never going to have to face you. So it gives them a lot of courage to say mean, hateful, hurtful things to somebody, because I know I'm not going to ever have to look face to face into the hurt that I may have caused by what I had to say. And so I think that we need to take account of that and we need to take responsibility. If I'm going to do something, I need to be responsible, and I am responsible whether I like it or not, for the effects of that. Everything is cause and effect. Where there's an action, there's going to be a reaction. I am responsible. If I do something to you intentionally to harm you or hurt your feelings, and I cannot then tell you how you should respond, how long your feelings should be hurt, if you can have emotion. I can't tell you none of that because I did that. And so it's incumbent upon us to be responsible for that. And then how can we, and this is a question for everybody, and I think we'll kind of land on this one. Anybody wants to chime in, how can we use language that better describes and expresses our feelings about being emotional, like our feelings, like what can we say? Because I think like, I know it's awful for me when somebody, oh, you just being emotional. That's like a put down. So maybe there's another way that we can express that. And I think it would be the same. You don't never express no feelings. You don't never have nothing to say about nothing. What you don't, you always look the same. So how can we maybe use different language to encourage each other to share the feelings that we have and emotions, and then also take responsibility for them? Anybody? Well, that's a whole lot. There's a whole lot. Wait a minute. Tony said that. If y'all could have seen her face, she said, that's a whole lot. Okay, well, how about that? Okay, I'm gonna say this. Well, maybe that's what we're gonna leave each other with. We're gonna leave each other with thinking about that for yourself, right? How do you encourage somebody to be safe enough in a relationship with you to feel what they feel, be able to express that you're a safe place? And let me stop right there and say this. If you want someone to tell you the truth and you want them to continue to tell you the truth, the one thing you cannot do is when they tell you, you fall out on the floor and get hysterical and throw a fit. You cannot do that. Another example of that is, we were talking about this in the prison Saturday. If with women, and I'm gonna use women because I was talking to men, if you get a man to open up and be vulnerable to you and tell you where he's vulnerable, you can never throw it in his face again in an argument or whatever, because he will never trust you and be vulnerable with you again.
Don't slingshot it.
Yeah, don't throw them kind of rocks, because I had to learn with my son as a child that if I wanted him to talk to me, I had to make it a safe space and I couldn't freak out. So one of my famous stories is, we're riding on the way to football practice. He's getting dressed in the back of the car. He's about 10 years old and he goes, "Mom, where am I going to get my sperm? Not that I want to use it. I just want to know when I'm going to get it." I'm going to tell you, I was so glad I was driving, because I started holding on to the steering wheel for dear life. Like, that's what I felt inside, but I couldn't do that or he would have never talked to me again and never asked me a question. So I punted. Look, I was a punk about this. I said, listen, I don't really know because I don't have any sperm. So I suggest you ask your dad.
Good answer.
That wasn't right though. I made him go to his daddy, but I had no choice, because I was freaking out and I was trying to figure out, why does he want to know when he gonna get his sperm? What do he want to do with it? You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't express that. I couldn't freak out like that, or he would have never talked to me again. He would have never asked me another question. So I say, maybe we should think about, how do we want to, in our relationships, establish ourselves and our communication to be such a safe space that people that are closest to us feel comfortable expressing whatever it is that they feel. It does not mean that we cannot disagree. We don't have to agree with each other all the time, but we have to allow and open a space for each other to be free and comfortable to express whatever emotion it is that we're feeling, and allow each other the opportunity to have that space, to have the freedom to talk about and say what I feel without feeling ridiculed or being gaslit. Because I can't stand somebody to gaslight me and tell me that I'm making this up and this is not really happening. Because I know what's going on. And again, feelings are your body's way to say something is going on. Check this out. Why am I uncomfortable? Let me ask myself that. But I'm responsible to ask myself that, so that if what I'm feeling is not real, that I don't hold somebody accountable for something that is not real. So,
Noreen, I just want to chime in really quickly.
Please.
Just said, you said a lot. However, I think that when a person is confident in themselves and in their relationship, you should be able to confide in your partner on every aspect of your life. You should be able to feel free to communicate with with that person, because the longer we hold things in, they can't read our mind. They can't read our mind. We should be able to be open and vulnerable to that person that you're with.
Yes.
In our relationship. So let's say in my relationship, I am so confident and honest and transparent with my mate, to where when I feel like something is not right, I go to him and I talk to him. You know, it's not a screaming match because he would tell me you don't have to scream or talk loud to get what you're trying to convey to me out. I hear you, you know. And when your mate tells you that, it makes you pipe down and you're able to better express what took place, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and I'm gonna give you an example, and he's in there in the room, you know. I was feeling some type of way one day, you know, he was getting ready to go out and have dinner with his daughters, and he did ask me, want to go, right?
Uh-huh.
I felt some
Uh-huh.
type of way, you know. So when he got back from his date with his daughters, I wasn't gonna hold that in. So
Good.
that's how I was feeling. And the first thing he said, you are absolutely right. I should have asked you and gave you the opportunity to say whether you want to come or you didn't want to go. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You would have gave me the opportunity to say that. And I said, you took that away from me.
Mm-hmm.
You took it away from me. So I'm saying all that to say that, you know, when you're confident in talking with that person, you should be able to talk about anything without raising your tone. And, you know, so you all should be able to communicate on every level of life. And when Monica said that when she came home, just going back to Monica, what she was talking about, it's like after being gone so long, you know, at some point you got to find out who you are. That all that time you're doing that, they don't do it but set you down to think about your life and knowing what you worth and what you gonna bring to the table, if not the whole table, when you come home. Because the first thing I did was I knew after being gone that long that I needed to get my life in order with my kids, rekindle that love with those girls, you know, because
Mm-hmm.
you suffer out here. Could no man make me feel any type of way the way that my kids was going to make me feel. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah, yeah.
together. So if I'm not loving me, I know that I'm not going to love you.
And that's so true, and it's so good, because what I love about the way that you approached your man about the situation was to tell him how it made you feel, as opposed to approaching him and saying, you did this because, or you trying to tell him what he was thinking and whatever, meaning
Mhm.
you didn't ascribe any particular motive. You
Yeah.
just said, this is how I felt about it.
Mhm.
And that didn't put him on the defensive. That allowed him to understand how you felt without feeling like you were attacking him. Because
Yeah.
once we say you always, or I don't like that you do this, and you was trying to keep up, when we do that, another person is automatically going to go on the defensive, and communication breaks down. So
Mhm.
what you did was you allowed him to understand what you were feeling and to give him room to correct that, because it probably never occurred to him.
It didn't. It didn't.
Right? Because guess what? However old they are, you wasn't there all them years. So he been dealing with them. When he want to go out with his daughters, he just call his daughters and go out. He even had you to consider,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
and he didn't mean anything by it likely, but it's something he had to make an adjustment. I remember I had been single for a long time, and I started dating this guy, and we had gotten into this routine. And this particular day I decided to just stay at work. And I was at the office till like 8:30 when I'm normally out of the office by 6. And when I see him, he goes, I was worried. I was worried because you're normally back by 6. And it's 8:30. You didn't call, you didn't say nothing. Uh-oh, my time ran out on my lights. You didn't call, you didn't say anything. And so I was worried. And what I did is I had to apologize, because I told him, actually, for so long now, as long as I knew what was going on in my life, everybody that needed to know knew. There was nobody else. My son was grown. He out doing his thing. He lived where he lived. If I don't come home, nobody cared. right? So, but I had to adjust because now it wasn't just me, it was we. And that takes an adjustment. And I just hear that your fiance, he probably was just used to, I'm gonna take the girls out to dinner and do it, and not recognizing, oh, wait a minute, now it's not just me, it's we, And so, like I said, I really applaud you for the way that you expressed it, but it goes back to what you said, and that's the confidence in your relationship, but most importantly, your confidence in your position in that relationship. You knew that you had enough position to actually be able to say to him, hey, I had a challenge with this. So I'm just grateful that you did. Chester, I see you back on. I want to ask you if you had any comments on the topic, because I went to look for you because I was like, I ain't heard nothing from Chester all evening. And I know when we had these kind of conversations, you usually chime in. You hear me, Chester? Uh-oh. Looks like he's on mute, but it doesn't look like he's on mute. In any event, I wanna open up the floor to anybody else might have anything you want to check out, any last comments from anybody, and give everybody an opportunity to have their final comments. And if not, then this has been another great session of Free to Heal. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Terrell. Go ahead, sweetie.
I would just like to actually piggyback off what Monica said, and something that I know from actually being in two, reentering society twice. Give yourself a chance in these relationships if you are not with somebody, and be extra careful if you're actually just meeting somebody that's new or somebody that's old from the past, because they're not the same person, just like you're not the same person. Just
Awesome.
because you knew them in the past and you had a history with them, don't mean that they're the same person that you knew from the past, because you're not the same. You're a different person. And furthermore, so, with the exception of a few, majority of people need to just sit back and get themselves together and learn themselves before they jump into a relationship. It's very seldom that a lot of people come home and have peaches and cream relationships.
And
But
they're
it
ready
does
for it.
happen.
Yeah, that's
But it
true.
does happen. But it does happen. And some people, it's a good thing for them because they know what they're looking for already, and they might have found it, and they want to stick to it and mold with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because majority of us that come home, we don't even, that's not even in our situation. I'm finna go find me a broad. I'm finna go get me a woman. No, I'm finna go get myself together. I'm finna go see what life is about. And for the women, I'm finna go get me a man. No, it's like I gotta go find my people, my babies, or whatever. So it's like you have to, like Monica said, prioritize what you need to do for you first. You know what I'm saying? And once you do that, then you can play all by ear certain things. But jumping into a relationship, it takes you off your square and your focus of what you need to do, especially if they're not involved and got your best interest of you actually, helping you to get this situation squared away and giving you some understanding and helping you learn the new you and the new situation that you've encountered, and possibly going light on you in a relationship, understanding you've been in jail for so long, you can't possibly know how their relationship go on the street. You've been in jail too long. So let me help you out a little bit, man. And let me give you some things that I know that doesn't work for men that I dealt with or women that I dealt with. So you won't make that mistake. You know what I'm saying? And that's one thing that's really not prevalent out here. People that are toxic, they will not tell you what's good and what happened, good for them. They're gonna give you all the bad stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to correct you. They're trying to keep that toxic stuff going. So just be mindful of people and their mindsets. And if it's a toxic setting there, and if because a lot of people, all of us got something wrong with us. But if it's on some
Right.
violent shit and dismissive shit and disrespectful and belittling, that's when it's time for me to go. That's when I'm gone. Ain't no time. That's when I'm out.
Okay. It
I'm
ain't no
out.
thought about that, huh?
Yeah, I'm out. So,
You
just
know,
be mindful of that.
it's a couple of things that you said that brought up a couple of things for me, and that is the myth that when a man comes home, that he's just gonna be so concerned with having sex and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of women want that man. They want to be the first one when he come out of prison. I don't know what that is. I don't know what they think they gaining right there.
Power sex.
You know what I'm saying? But whatever that is, the idea that a person coming home is going to be so focused on sex, and you, like you said, you and most of the people on here know that been incarcerated. That's really not the first thing in a person's mind. Normally, it's much more basic than that. Like, I need a place to stay. How am I going to eat? I need a car. I need to make a living. All those kinds of things do tend to take precedent. Not that people wouldn't want to have sex, but the bottom line is that is not the highest priority. And I found, particularly with the people that did the most amount of time, that the more time they did, the further down the list that becomes.
And that's some irritating shit too. It's very irritating when somebody trying to press you for some sex and you like, what the hell? I need to eat. I need to get some clothes. I need to get myself together. You worried about some sex? Oh man.
Especially if you've been jacking off in prison.
Yeah.
It don't matter.
Yeah. And then I love what you said about somebody being willing to help you with the new you. That's the person that you need around you, the person that's going to work with you through helping you become the person that you want to be at this point. That is the person that you want. And then another thing that it made me think, oftentimes you will find people who are toxic like the toxicity, like I talked about the guy in the prison. He likes that up and down mess. He likes all of that. And because they like it, you can't stop them from creating it. Harry talked about the lady. It seemed like every couple of weeks it come up with a new thing because she needs that every now and again. She needs that because that's her thing. That's her fix. And you have to accept that that's who that person is and be able to deal with it. Chester, did you have your hand up, baby? Because I can't hear you. In any event, anybody in the peanut gallery want to have some final words?
Anybody in the peanut gallery?
I'll be in the peanut gallery.
That's Miss Cheryl, y'all.
We need.
That's Miss Jackoff lady.
Huh? Go ahead.
I said that's Miss Jackoff lady.
Oh,
We don't care because we jacking off anyway.
That's what you just said a few minutes ago, but go ahead, Miss Cheryl.
It's very clear that once you've been in for a long time, you have no idea who you are in the free world. And you have to come out and get to know yourself before you can give yourself to someone else. Because we come out, the females I'm speaking of, we're so vulnerable. Many women haven't been touched, and a guy physically touches you and it sends some kind of thrill or something to you, but it's just the lust part of it. And you can't be in relationships because you're too vulnerable, and you'll fall for an average man when you should be looking for someone else.
Exceptional.
And then thank you for exceptional. And then you crying and stuff. And I say that because I did that over somebody that wasn't
didn't even deserve it.
Yeah, it didn't. And I just be one. I wanted to be the first one, get the PUSSY after that long,
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we do, we had come to the conclusion here that people should date themselves when they come home, right? We talk about that all the time. Date yourself, find out who you are, find out what you like. You've been eating the same thing, wearing the same thing, using the same products. Find out who you are, get to know who you are. This is the opportunity you have to reinvent yourself. This is the opportunity that you have to establish yourself in the lifestyle that you want to live in this day and age. So I'm really grateful that all of you all were here. Miss Beverly, I see you. I'm glad that you joined us. I'm glad that we didn't run you off the last time because the peanut gallery, the people around here, they're kind of on the crazy side. So I'm glad that you came back. Monica, thank you. Coco, thanks for joining us. Carlos, I see you.
All right, thank you.
Terrell,
Thank you.
you guys
All
have a
right.
great week, and we'll see you next week on Free to Heal.
All right, thank you.